Following our chicken wars with the United States, a decision is imminent. The US Senate is this evening deciding on South Africa's inclusion in the African Growth and Opportunity Act. AGOA, as it's known, has given South African and other African exporters preferential access to US markets. But some senators have argued that we should not be included in the renewal of the act, especially because we have set up our own trade barriers to US chicken. In recent months, there's been a major diplomatic push with South African ministers and members of the poultry industry flying to America. Our sources in the US saying that South Africa is included in the new draft law, but with strict terms. Let's cross live now. We're joined on the line by Kate Fischer from Washington, SABC correspondent. Kate, good evening to you. Has a decision been taken? Has a vote been taken in the Senate?
Yes, it has. It's just happened here in Washington on Capitol Hill, and it's passed with 97 votes to just one against. So that's a pretty authoritative passing there. The Senate voting to renew AGOA with these strict, new strict terms as well for the next 10 years. It's passed the Senate. It still has to pass the House of Representatives, but we're told that we expect that to happen without any problem at all, and we expect this new piece of legislation to be enacted here by mid-July. They're very keen for it to be enacted before President Obama makes his trip to Kenya in mid-July. But yes, certainly, as you say, there are these strict terms regarding South Africa, the biggest of which is a new clause in the legislation that initiates what they call an out-of-cycle review with respect to South Africa on its compliance with AGOA. And now this is slated to happen within 30 days of AGOA being renewed. So once it has passed through the House of Representatives, which we expect it to do without any problem, then within 30 days of that, there will be a whole new review about South Africa's membership of AGOA. It sounds quite concerning. We're told it's highly unlikely that they will be excluded from it, but this is a way of sort of forcing South Africa and the US back to the negotiating table to confront the issues that have been causing so many problems. And that review we expect to be completed within 60 to 90 days. So this is all sort of happening in a matter of weeks or a few months.
Sure, it does sound very strange to have a review just 30 days after the act is passed. Does this mean our inclusion, at least we haven't been excluded, but does it mean our inclusion is tenuous, that we can be kicked out in future?
It does. There's certainly several clauses put into this new legislation which would give the US President the ability to exclude South Africa. However, the people I've been speaking to about it say, although it sounds pretty draconian, these clauses have been put in really to put pressure on South Africa rather than to actually exclude them altogether. Nobody wants to see them not included in this legislation, but the US government is very keen that they come back to the negotiating table, particularly with regard to the poultry issue, to really iron out these differences. And they want to show through this legislation that they will play tough and they will put pressure on the South Africans to do that. But I think it would be highly unlikely that it would ever get to the stage where they actually did exclude South Africa, although the terms of the legislation do give the President the power to do that, giving 60 days notice to Congress and the country in question. This legislation does offer the President of the United States the authority to exclude or at least withdraw temporarily the benefits of AGOA. But as I say, it's more a negotiating tool rather than something they intend to act upon.
Okay, but a bit worrying for our exporters. This all over chicken, is that still the main sticking point? The US sells the brown meat here, which South Africans like. Our government says it's selling it so cheaply, it's at dumping prices. If there's still this need to push for negotiations to keep South Africa on its toes, is there still an underlying distrust over this issue?
I think it shows that there is, because otherwise it would have been sorted out already. It's clearly something that both sides, well, certainly the US believes needs further discussion, and that's why it's kind of enforcing this extra review on top of this legislation. We're also told that if you look at the U.S. Trade Representative's national trade estimates for last year, there's also a number of companies in a range of other sectors who have filed complaints about competitive disadvantages in accessing the South African market. So although we have been focusing on chicken, if you look at this, there are cosmetic companies, plastics, textiles, trucks, agricultural exports have also been, having concerns about their free access to the South African market. So although chickens is the main one and it's certainly the loudest lobby, there are other industries that are also concerned about this. So I think, and just in general, there have been mutterings about whether South Africa is still, it's a more advanced economy than many, and whether it is still eligible to benefit from all the advantages that AGOA offers. So I think there is a wider discussion to be had as well, but certainly this new legislation offers the US government more flexibility in dealing with South Africa. We'll just have to see whether what happens in those negotiations over the next few months.
Kate, a final question for you, and very quickly, please. This isn't the last stop for this draft law, the Senate. What happens now?
That's right. So it's passed the Senate today. It will now proceed directly to the House of Representatives, where it will have a second vote. It's not considered to be something that anyone will have a problem with. We expect it to get through very quickly. It generally has bipartisan support. Once that has passed in the next few weeks, we imagine, then that is when this next phase, this 30-day review period will be kicking in. But as I say, we expect that AGOA will be passed completely by around mid-July, because President Obama is off to Africa. He's going to Kenya, and he will be keen to make sure all those loose ends have been tied up before he makes that trip.
All right, thank you very much. SABC correspondent Kate Fischer coming to us from Washington. So there you have it. We are not excluded from AGOA. That was a big concern for South African exporters. We are included, but it sounds like our inclusion could be tenuous. Certainly the US keeping its options open to put pressure on South Africa and review our inclusion in future. That is